Because of his forceful and aggressive fighting style, Errol Spence Jr. is now regarded to be one of the best boxing champions competing in the world.
232 for a 37% connect percentage.
And an uppercut. Who gets his hurt?
Who gets his hurt? Spence going on the attack to try to finish off.
When the welterweight competitor enters the ring, he always has the intention of causing some harm and demonstrating why he's considered to be among the top fighters in his weight class. As a result, you're going to witness in this video why Terence Crawford is going to be destroyed by Errol Spence Jr. Spence promises one-sided fight. When they came face-to-face to promote their long-awaited fight at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Errol Spence Jr. correctly credited Terence Crawford as one of boxing's biggest pugilists. However, he then immediately took exception to Bud's resume and promised a beatdown. Terence is a fantastic fighter, and I'm going to crush the will of yet another fantastic fighter. Spence said that he will emerge victorious both mentally and physically. The three-division champion and current 147-pound title holder Crawford, 39-0, 30 KOs, is with 7 KOs as a welterweight since 2018, defeating Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez Jr., Amir Khan, Egidius Kavalauskas, Brooke, Porter, and David Avanesian along the road. On the other hand, Spence, a career-long welterweight with a perfect record of 28-0 and 22 knockouts, won his first world championship in 2017 by knocking out Brooke, and then won a split-second decision against Porter in 2019. This is going to be an easy victory for us on all fronts, because he's such a tough man. This is going to take a few rounds, but in the end, we are going to tear him down, Spence added. Spence currently holds the titles for the WBC, WBA, and IBF, but the victor of this fight will become the first undisputed champion in the history of boxing's four-belt era. Spence was quoted as saying, "I can guarantee you that this is going to be an action-packed, old-school type of fight. If you've been hankering for those classic clashes, then you really must tune into this one. This is a clash that will go down in history. If you ignore the belts and focus on just these two competitors, this contest will go down as one of the most important in boxing history, especially due to the energy that we bring to the table. Both of us are striving to come out on top." Errol Spence is too strong for Terence Crawford, says Gary Russell Jr.
But I think he's too defensively immature.
Gary Russell Jr. believes that Terence Crawford is too defensively immature to beat the naturally larger and stronger Errol Spence Jr. when they fight for the undisputed welterweight belt. Russell Jr. is of the opinion that Crawford is the more skilled boxer, despite the fact that he takes a significant amount of damage in his battles. But if Crawford takes a significant amount of damage from Spence, he will not be able to withstand that level of power for very long. We don't have a solid idea of how excellent Crawford's chin is, since he hasn't faced any big punchers who have the ability to stick in there and make the fight a contest that lasts longer than 8 rounds. I go with Errol. He has a larger build than the rest of us, Russell Jr. added. In an interview with Fight Hub TV, Gary Russell Jr. predicted that Errol Spence Jr. would prevail over Terence Crawford in the event that the fight took place. He said, "We watched what Kell Brook was doing to Crawford's first and only 3 rounds, and while he works hard, he lacks the power that Spence has." There are a lot of casual boxing fans who have gotten captivated by Terence Crawford because of his wins against low-level fighters like Amir Khan, Brooke, Sean Porter, Jeff Horn, and Jose Benavidez Jr. However, these fans fail to notice that Crawford has not been facing the finest competition in his career. Russell Jr. said, "Terence is, in my opinion, the superior boxer. He is the superior specimen of the two overall. But I believe that defensively he lacks the maturity to handle the situation. I believe Terence is very defensive and immature in his thinking. He gets hit a lot, and he shows he gets hurt. He doesn't necessarily need to be from a guy from his weight class. He demonstrates that when he is struck, he experiences pain and discomfort." He added, "You saw him hanging out with Gamboa, right? He gets injured by smaller folks. If he's in 15-round shape and is able to have a certain level of conditioning to pick his punches, pick his shots, and make Errol run into shots, I think he'll be able to steal the rounds in the early rounds. But in the event that he's not, I believe that by the 8th or 9th round, Errol is going to be too large, too powerful, and heading into overtime. He is going to completely dominate Terence." Spence Jr.'s boxing style. The American boxer's strong pressure with the jab sets up a straight left hand to the head or body, which is the centerpiece of his extremely efficient and powerful technique. In addition, as a result of Spence's previous experience as an amateur boxer, he has extremely excellent basic boxing abilities, including the ability to fight on the back foot and use his jab to manipulate his opponent. The other part of his game is his ability to fight on the inside, where a lot of fighters struggle to handle his aggressiveness, physicality, and power.
A solid jab. Now he can land some power shots like that.
Left hand. Okay, Van Heerden wants to wiggle out of it.
Overall, one might make the case that Spence embodies the ideal boxer-puncher, while also including characteristics of a swarmer. Jab. In our view, Spence has one of the strongest punches in all of boxing, which he employs magnificently whenever he's in the ring. This is accomplished by moving in behind his right-handed jab and pushing forward with his feet to increase the amount of pressure that it's applied to his opponent. Spence is therefore in a better position to set up his devastating left straight or hook because of this, which naturally helps him drive back his opponent. Instead of allowing the smaller guy to get inside him, Spence simply utilized his jab as a distance measurement tool and to maintain the opponent at a safe distance. Pressure and aggression in tactical settings. It is arguable that Errol Spence is one of the finest boxers in the world now in terms of maintaining continual pressure on his opponent. Because he has such a good knowledge of the amount of space that must be covered in order to put the opponent on the defensive, he's very effective at applying pressure. As was just said, the jab is a crucial tool in his arsenal for maintaining this level of pressure. He also has incredible ring generalship, which allows him to take control of the middle of the ring and force his opponent into the ropes. And this leaves his opponent with little choice but to either use more energy by moving about or attempt to stand toe-to-toe with Spence. Boxing with the fists. Once Spence gets near enough or attempts to get on the inside, his opponent can expect to suffer some painful body shots. When Spence is in the offensive position, if he is having difficulty hitting his opponent in the head, he'll make use of this chance to strike his opponent's body. He would often throw a right hook to the body when they are near to one another after a follow-up of assaults. So, Spence is absolutely relentless from this vantage point, compelling his opponent to either engage in combat or get the heck out of the way. During a battle, the welterweight champion enjoys putting his focus here since he knows that persistent attacks on the body may eventually lead to the opponent's guard being broken up. In addition, Spence has been able to rack up some devastating knockouts over his career as a consequence of this. Counterpunching and defense. It's true that when most people think about Errol Spence Jr., the first thing that comes to mind isn't counterpunching or defense. However, these elements of Spence's game are very significant to the success of his fight overall. If his adversaries aren't prepared for it, he loves to utilize a step-back jab and counter as his most common kind of counterattack, which may be quite damaging. Spence also uses his footwork, which is another deceptively simple tactic. He's very skilled at keeping sufficient space between himself and his opponent, which makes it more difficult for the opponent to strike him. Leave a comment below letting us know whether you believe Errol Spence Jr. will win the fight, and why you think he'll do so. And that wraps things up. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.